Whispering Pines.
A name that sounded like a lullaby or a warning. I booked the cabin for a week. The listing promised isolation, fresh mountain air, a cozy fireplace. I needed a break from the city, from my life, from everything ISA. But in the woods, isolation doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like a trap. I arrived just before dusk, my tires crunching over gravel. The cabin stood alone among towering pines, their dark branches clawing at the evening sky. I stepped out and the silence was so thick, it rang in my ears. The forest was watching. I convinced myself it was just nerves. That night, as the fire crackled inside, I heard what sounded like breathing just outside the window. Slow, wet, ragged. When I finally fell asleep, I dreamed of pale hands reaching for me from between the trees. On the second day, I went exploring and found an old shed behind the cabin. Inside, I discovered a leather-bound journal. It belonged to the previous occupant, or maybe victims. The entries began normal. Saw a deer today. ... But by the third page, the handwriting was jagged. He's outside every night. He whispers my name. The last entry was a single word, scrawled over and over until the pen ripped the page. Run. Scene 4. Signs of the killer. That night, I locked every window. But something woke me. A steady dripping sound in the kitchen. I crept down the dark hallway. A puddle of red spread across the floor beneath the fridge. Opened it, praying it was just spoiled meat. Instead, I found a severed rabbit's head staring up at me, its eyes wide with permanent terror. Pinned to its fur was a note. You're mine. Every night after, the tapping returned. It was deliberate, a rhythm. Tap, 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 like a metronome counting down to something unspeakable. I saw flashes of movement between the trees, a tall figure with impossibly long limbs and a pale mask. I called 951, but the call wouldn't connect. The screen just blinked. No service. I decided to leave, but my car wouldn't start. The battery was dead or cut. I grabbed a flashlight and my grandfather's hunting knife, then stepped into the forest, hoping to hike out to the road. The woods were alive with sounds. Whispers that grew louder the further I went. Branches snapped behind me. I ran, stumbling over roots, the flashlight beam shaking wildly. Then I heard it. His voice, inhumanly close, but from nowhere and everywhere at once. Stay with me. I tripped into a clearing lit by the full moon and froze. There were dozens of wooden stakes planted in the earth. Skulls, animal and human, crowned each one like grotesque trophies. In the center stood a tree, its trunk carved with symbols I couldn't recognize. Beneath it were piles of personal belongings. Wallets, phones, wedding rings. People had come here before me. None had left. I heard him step into the clearing. His breathing, raspy and wet, filled the night. I turned, shining the flashlight on him. His mask was featureless, but his eyes shone like coals through two holes. He raised a massive, rusted machete, its blade chipped and stained. I ran, crashing through brambles that tore at my skin. I heard his footsteps, heavy and relentless, always just behind me. At last I saw headlights far ahead, the road. But as I stumbled out of the trees, hands clamped down on my shoulders, wrenching me back into the darkness. They found my car weeks later, doors open, keys in the ignition. But they never found me. And if you find yourself in Whispering Pines, listen carefully when the forest goes quiet.
Because that's when he's closest.